Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get some very nice improvised live looping. All vocals. That's what you're hearing now. Everything you're hearing right now, this is all vocals. We got the foundations of a beat here, and over the course of the next hour, I'm gonna be building up the beat more. This is gonna be so good. In addition to all of this vocals only, building up a beat with you over the course of the next hour. Also going to bring in the synth. The synth. Ooh, the synth. Oh, wow. We also might talk about stuff. Man, who knows what you are going to get here in this exclusive studio session. It's called Tinker Time. My regulars know what it is. Speaking of my regulars, we have got Melodify. you are new, if you are new to the Reconsider It live streams, welcome! You made the right decision joining us. We want you here. Friends, right now we are in a warm-up phase. We are just hanging out. We are just getting the blood flowing. We are just getting accustomed to this foundation of a beat. Man, we're ready. Here in this warm-up phase, I need to celebrate. I need to celebrate you. Whether you are here with us live in the chat, whether you are here with us live, but you are not in the chat, whether you are here with us after the live, you are with us on replay. However it is that you are here with us, thank you for being here. I am going to celebrate you at this time in this way. I have got my drink. I am going to count to 3 and I'm going to clink. You are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherfulness. Friends, the count up begins on 1, which is where you would have begun as well. And it continues, my friends, into 2, which is the right place to continue, 2. And then it goes all the way to 3. Clink. Cheers, my friends. Oh, that's good. That's the good goodness. The good goodness that I like. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please share this video where it will be well received. Friends, we have got a Tinker stream on our hands. This is really good. This is a really good thing, if that is good. And being that it is a Tinker stream, that means they gotta build up this beat. I see right now in the chat. Actually, this is not right now. This is from a little bit ago. This is from almost 5 minutes ago. Vicio says, on symptoms of reality, a sibling channel that we often speak highly of around here. Symptoms of reality, they're having a community collaboration event. I think they said in the summer or something like that. And on, what was it, 2 days ago? Was it on Popcorn Night? Marilyn was saying, Marilyn being one of the core 3 people in Symptoms of Reality. Marilyn said she wanted to hear me rapping on Vicio's beats. Which, by the way, if you're not familiar with Vicio beats, you should go check out his channel, like right now. Fortunately, you could just take the you could just say youtube.com/ and then his tag. youtube.com/ @Vicio beats. You're going to be very happy with what you hear over there. Vicio's dope. And Marilyn from Symptoms of Reality was saying that she wanted to hear me rap on his beat with, who was it, Absurd TV also? Yeah, Absurd TV. So yeah, I heard that. It'll be nuts. Nuts. I did a silly little throwaway freestyle over one of Vicio's beats like a month or 2 ago. It was, even that silly little throwaway freestyle was awesome. Vicio says, for sure we can make a banger. Man, you don't need me to make a banger. Vicio's making bangers all by himself. You go check out one of Vicio's live streams where he's making a beat. That's like the banger factory. Maybe that should be, maybe that can be your like tagline, the banger factory. Because that's what it is. Vicio's awesome. It's nice, by the way, to be doing a Tinker stream. Since I've introduced the DAW streams, it had been not quite 2 weeks, but it had been nearly 2 weeks since I'd done a Tinker stream. It's like, whoa. Now that was a perfect alignment of a bunch of complicating factors, but that's beside the point. Still was almost 2 weeks. I believe it was 13 days, if I recall correctly. So it's cool to be doing the Tinker Hangouts again. Make a nice beat. Kind of lackadaisical. Is that a word? Lackadaisical? It's lackadaisical, isn't it? Lackadaisical. Maybe that should be one of my taglines on this show. Hashtag lackadaisical. Hashtag lackadaisical. I could put that in a rap somewhere. Hashtag lackadaisical. Well, I am flattered by what Vicio says here. Well. Thank you, Vicio. All right. Speaking of the DAW streams, the news is the same as the most recent update, which is that DAW streams are going well. I just finished up a batch of 4 episodes, I guess, for one song. But that song is now finished. So if you go listen to the most recent DAW stream, that is the conclusion of that song. I'm currently in the process of doing whatever finishing touches I'm going to put on it, export the audio, make a music video out of it. I'm in that process right now. So you're going to see a music video for that pretty soon. Are you a coconut water person? I got some coconut water the other day. I'm a fan of coconut water in general. I like coconut stuff too. You know, like use coconut oil to make something. Some kind of coconut flavoring in a confection of some sort. Coconut in a, you know, like a stir fry or something. I'm down with coconut. With us we have Black Soul. Very nice. Probe says he likes fresh coconut. So maybe not like out of a can like I was having it. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever had coconut water out of a can. I've always had it out of like either bottle or some kind of, you know, cardboard box type of thing. A carton, perhaps. Perhaps we call it a carton. That's what I've always had coconut water out of in the past. First time out of a can. I believe I've had fresh coconut water or whatever you call it straight out of the coconut. But that's been rare. I can recall a couple of times I had to open a raw coconut. So I'm confident I drank the water. But that's been rare. Most of the time I've had coconut water, it's been out of, you know, I bought it at a store in a carton or a bottle. Black of Soul says, I'm so happy I made it to your stream. I see Black of Soul most often in the Wonderfish streams. So welcome to Black of Soul. Happy to have you with us, my guy. Often driving during the stream. Wonderfish is awesome too, by the way. If you're not following Wonderfish, like, oh, you're missing out. In my opinion, that he's a pretty underrated channel. His content is real good. Wonderfish spelled with a U, so it's like WUNDER fish, all one word. I believe his @ is just all of that with just take out the vowels. WNDRFSH. I think that's his @ In any case, you should check out Wonderfish also. He streams, I don't think it's every day, but a lot. Easily, 3, 4, 5 times a week he streams. I'm not sure exactly. He usually does like an hour to an hour and a half. He's got all sorts of cool hardware and integrated into... does he use Ableton? I'm not sure what he uses. But it's all, improvised, mostly hardware-based. He does vocal stuff also, which is one of the things I like a lot about Wonderfish's show. But that's a good channel as well if you're not following Wonderfish. Good show, consistent, good experience. Black of Soul says, yeah, he uses Ableton. Going back to the topic of coconuts, in addition to Probe saying that he likes to have the coconut water but fresh from the coconuts, I see Al True says, I like to have coconut water but dilute it a little bit with just regular water. I could dig that. Probe says, regarding coconuts, there's so many things that you can make from their husks and shells. I am completely ignorant of that, but I believe you I believe you that such a thing is like, what do you make from coconut husks and shells? I can imagine you might be able to make some kind of tool because it's very hard, it's very strong. Clearly you can make some kind of bowl, so an eating utensil you can make. That's straightforward and obvious. And as I say, a tool of some sort is easy to imagine. And I'm ready to hear there's all sorts of other things too. I don't know what they are though. What do you make from coconut husks and shells? The man Cornish is loving this. Going back to the topic of the coconut husks, Probes has added some examples. Probes, the knowledgeable man. Probes has said, from the husks of coconuts, you can make rope. Okay, that's where I was wondering where you were going to go. If it's like other types of fabric and material. So apparently rope, various types of fiber, thus mats, mattress filling. Oh, mattress filling. That's interesting. Yeah, the husk, I guess, is like very fibrous, and it's strong, too, on a coconut. And also, shells. Probe says, from coconut shells, you can make, as I was guessing, some kind of bowl or a socking utensil? What's a socking utensil? S-O-K-K. I don't know what that is. A socking utensil? Probe says also, oh, that was a typo. My bad. Cooking utensils. Okay. So from coconut shells, bowls, drinking vessels, cooking utensils. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, a spoon. Interesting. Yeah, okay. And Probe says, of course, musical instruments. Oh, well, yeah, that should have been much closer to the foreground of my mind. Yeah, certainly some kind of percussion, but I'm ready to hear there's all sorts of other stuff. They can make some kind of, I don't know, would you make a wind instrument of some sort? Some kind of, whistle? Not a whistle. I don't even know. A bassoon? You're not going to make a bassoon and a tuba? Oh, a coconut tuba? Yeah, somebody needs to make a coconut tuba. That's a good band name. Coconut tuba. Oh man, there's this guy who I follow. I wish I could give you his name because his content is fun. But he plays a sousaphone. I might be able to look him up in my Johns over here. If you're not familiar with what a sousaphone is, you're going to be really excited about when you discover this. Let's see. He plays an electronic sousaphone. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just searching really quick over here on the side. The guy who I follow, who I was hoping to find, did not come up right away. I'm very upset about it. So I guess, unfortunately, I can't give you this guy's page, but it's cool stuff. Dang. Oh well, maybe I'll find it some other day, and who knows. Probe says, going back to using coconut shells as musical instruments, that it is indeed mostly percussion. Like a tuned xylophone. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The galloping horse sound. Oh, no kidding. Is that... I guess, yeah, that I follow. Okay. Galloping horse. Now I'm curious, though, because I'm sure there must be a way to turn a hollow coconut with, like, the properly drilled holes and such. There's got to be a way to turn that into a... you know, whistle or some kind of wind instrument. Canned coconut water. Not bad. Not bad. Blackest Soul says, "Where are you from? Would you like to have my like the first street address where I lived when I was born?" I can tell you I'm in the United States. How about that? Definitely in the United States. Probe says that you might have an old sofa that's filled with coconut fiber. Now that you say the fiber as stuffing, like that is very... That's a small leap. I follow you straight on that one. Probe says you might be able to make some kind of ocarina type of thing. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, yes. There's a recorder. I'm trying to think what... There's something that's just eluding my vocabulary at the moment. But an ocarina is exactly the manner of thing I'm talking about. Blackest Soul says, "The internet is a great place to meet people from very far away." Yeah, that's what's so cool about hanging out here together. Here at your favorite online hangout. We get to know each other, and in some ways we get more comfortable with each other than we do with some people in our, you know, physical world. There's something we get to enjoy with each other that we otherwise wouldn't, which is really cool. And it's cool that you have that attitude, Blackest Soul. That makes you a cool internet person. And very much, you know, you're very much in the right place. Black of Soul says, I've been out of music for a while. And I've been getting back into music again recently. I've been seeing some live streams and also doing some live streams, and I'm learning a lot. That's dope. So that's a common narrative. Black of Soul is a valued member of our community. Continuing the coconut discussion, Probes continues. You could use the coconut shell as any kind of like resonating thing. Oh, so you could do stringed instruments. Oh, interesting. A kalimba. Black of Soul says, that's cool how you're able to just sort of get what I'm trying to communicate. Yeah, Black of Soul, are you from France? Is that right? Is that where you're from? But Black of Soul says English is a second language for me. So pardon any grammar, this or that. Just the other day, I heard a meme or something. Black of Soul says Spain. Oh, Spain! Yo estudiaba español. I can read and write Spanish a little bit. I'm not fluent. Speaking and listening Spanish, I'm much slower. I have more practice with reading and writing than I do with speaking and listening. Pero puedo hablar español. Black of Soul says, I can speak English okay, but tenses are not my strong point. I feel that way about Spanish. Yeah, I don't... There's some tenses in Spanish that I'm fine with, like the ordinary past and future and stuff. But there's some more subtle tenses in Spanish that don't really exist in English, at least not as robustly. And those are things like the subjunctive tense. It does exist in English, but we don't have different verb conjugations. Not really. So English speakers don't think of it as a different thing. That's what's so fun about studying different languages, is you wind up learning so much more about just grammar in general, and you understand that your own native language is just, a way. I speak English natively, but after studying Spanish, I've studied German. I'm currently learning and studying Hebrew. Things are just very different in other languages. And there isn't, there's no concept of translation, really. There's only the concept of interpreting, kind of hearing what the person means to communicate in some sort of fundamental or primal way. That's about all you can do across languages. Some languages are closer than others. Like English and Spanish they're not that close, but they're still pretty close. Versus something like English and Hebrew, Torah Hebrew, it's like, oh my goodness, they're so unbelievably different. There are things in Hebrew that I never even imagined. Grammatically, grammatical functions. There's a tense in Hebrew, or there, multiple tenses, but there is a way of conjugating verbs that flips their time orientation. It's weird. And there's this tense in Hebrew that's like I don't know what the formal term for it is, but it's like it means as a continued consequence of something previously established. So it's like it refers to something that doesn't necessarily stand on its own, but it's like, as I say, continuing a previously established framework or context. And there's a whole verb conjugation just for that. There's verb conjugations for making someone or something else do something. It's very interesting. It has a very different Hebrew. Torah Hebrew has a very different approach to communicating, phenomena. So, languages, grammar. Oh, so I was gonna allude to something the other day, or not the other day, but earlier on the stream, that I heard some kind of meme or whatever it was, to the effect of like, yes, grammar is one popular way for arranging words to communicate ideas. One popular way. So as to legitimize other ways of putting words together to communicate ideas, which I thought was really interesting, because that's true. And English does that a lot. English goes hard on slang and like stitching together things and inventing new things. English is so flexible and precise. You can get very, very precise with English. Here's these 17 different words that mean something similar but very subtly different. Not all languages have that plurality of words. Black as Soul says, some of what my English learning comes from is just to YouTube tutorials on my hardware. The MC707. Probe says, English is very flexible for inventing new words. Completely, yes. And if you're a native English speaker, it's not obvious what that means necessarily. That other languages sometimes are more rigid. I mean, you can have new words in any language, but in English, you can really kind of... The positioning of the words is what matters most in English, but otherwise you can get pretty flexible. The ordering of the words is what's most relevant as a signal indicator. You can rearrange stuff in English, but not as easily as you can in German. In my very limited German studies, I studied German for let's say 1 to 2 years or so. But German has a different, for every part of speech, you change the way the words are formed. So you could take them and move them in different orders, but they still have the same meaning because the words themselves are different. Naturally, the position still matters for things like emphasis and so on. If Wonderfish was here, he could talk to us about Hawaiian. He's from Hawaii. I visited Hawaii once, and if I recall correctly, I learned, the most barest little small amount about the Hawaiian language. I think if I recall correctly, there's only 11 letters in the Hawaiian language, if I recall correctly. I should probably Google this before I... Hold on. Oh, it's 13, sorry. "13 letters. It says the same 5 vowels as English, A, E, I, O, and U, and then 8 consonants. An H sound, a K sound, L, M, N, P, W, and a glottal stop. Hebrew has a glottal stop as well. And other sounds. Like there's sounds in Hebrew that I struggled to make. And there's some sounds I still struggle to make. There's the Hawaiian. Hawaiian. It's like a back of your throat, like I heard it described once as it sounds like you're swallowing the syllable. That means poor or impoverished, like very out of your luck. Oni. But it's not oni, because that means I, like me, I, first person. Ani, that's different from oni. And it's very, very subtle and foreign to my ears as an English speaker. And all I ever studied were European languages. So English and Spanish and German, they don't have that sound. Oni. There's also a rolled G. That one is, I can't always make that very easily. And there's other sounds too. All True is talking about, sounds like some Hawaiian healing practices. I'm totally guessing on that, just based on the context of what we're talking about and such. But that's cool. I don't know anything about Hawaiian healing practices. If you're not familiar with Wonderfish, though, you should go to his channel. He's Hawaiian. He might know that. Not that he's necessarily an expert himself, but he might just know what you're talking about. Oh, Probes brings in the heavy guns here. We're talking about different sounds and different languages and things. And Probes says, "All right, we're not playing games anymore. Listen." And talks about traditional Chinese. Tens of thousands of Chinese characters. I know like basically zero about Chinese. I mean, not even basically zero, just I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Chinese. But I didn't know there was tens of thousands. I knew there was a lot, like orders of magnitude more than what most other languages have. I knew that part. I didn't know it was tens of thousands, though. I'm ready to believe that, though. That's the kind of stuff I've heard. In Chinese, is it the case that you can put two characters together to get like a compound character, and it means a compound word that reflects that compound concept? Is that true? I feel like I've heard that, but I don't know if that's for Chinese or maybe some other language. Yeah, I don't. I guess to be literate in Chinese takes a lot of probably effort and time. All True says that yes, she is indeed talking about Hawaiian healing practices and has an affinity for the forgiveness prayer. I like the sound of that. It'd be really good if the world had more communal, shared spirituality. That's a really big topic. The world would be better off if we had some kind of, established, shared, agreed upon basis for a spiritual coexistence. That's so far off in the future, it seems to me. But who knows? Maybe things will change a lot with the internet. We're not even one full generation into the internet yet. So we don't know what kind of transformations it's going to bring. Black of Soul says, do you ever play shows? I used to play shows. I used to play shows pretty often. Usually I'd play, I don't know, a handful of shows every couple months, That was my usual cadence. You pick any random month, I'm probably playing a show somewhere that month. I used to play a fair amount. Around the pandemic, though, I stopped. The pandemic, a lot of the venues that I used to play at, the pandemic, they closed down. People I used to know who I play shows with, they stopped playing shows. They moved away. So my whole live show network just fell apart at the pandemic. And I pivoted to live streams. And so I actually just a couple days ago was my 2-year anniversary for live streams. April 21st, 2024 was when I started my first live stream. And that's proved to be really, really good. So right now I'm really just leaning into live streams. I'm not putting any energy at all into playing live shows. But I would, once in a while I do get an invitation from somebody I used to play shows with, and they say, hey, do you still play? Do you want to come play this show? And so I would play a show. I'm not seeking it. No lo busco. Ahora is what I meant to say there. I didn't pronounce that very well at all. Pero no lo busco. Black of Soul says, I have a Chinese name. Well, I have no sense of what this means, but I'm with it. Probe says, yeah, I think you might be onto something with respect to taking two Chinese symbols and combining them to make a new one that reflects a compound meaning. I know I've heard that from something. I just don't know for sure if it's Chinese. But Probe says that sounds like that might be true. Black of Soul says his name, which I'm putting back on the screen here, his name means dawn or light of the dawn or something similar to that. Probe says Esperanto never took off. I don't know a lot about Esperanto. If you're not familiar with Esperanto, it's worth a quick Google. My understanding, and I'm ready to be corrected on this. I claim almost zero expertise in this, so I'm ready to be told I'm wrong. But Esperanto, my understanding is that it's an artificial language. It's a man-made language that they made to try to establish some kind of standard for, I don't know, was it just that region of Spain? That's what it is, right? Esperanto is like I don't know, is it meant to be like a universal European language or something? It's got elements of different languages. My understanding is that it's very regular. But yeah, I knew someone who was studying Esperanto a couple of years ago. That is the full extent of the story. I know nothing further about where his studies took him, if he's still doing it. I was not very close with that particular individual. Black of Soul says the pandemic was a bad thing. Oh my goodness. I think everybody agrees on that. Probably everyone agrees that the pandemic was a bad thing. I mean, nothing is all bad. Some good things came out of it. In the same way that good things come out of every crisis. But nonetheless, still the crisis itself was not awesome. Probe says, yeah, Esperanto was indeed meant to be, I guessed, was it meant to be a European language? But Probes clarifies and says, no, it's just, just universal human global language. Yeah, it's difficult to navigate that kind of stuff because of the dimension of culture. This is something I've only been learning about for maybe 5 years or so. This is a very worthy topic for extensive discussion. It's 5 years ago, still relatively new to me. But the whole idea of culture and communication and perspective and knowledge frameworks that put a significant limitation on people's ability to communicate and cooperate when they're not part of the same culture. They're not part of the same, glorified tribe. People tend to have this misunderstanding that I have had my whole life, and I still have. I only have this most budding intellectual understanding. I still don't really live and breathe the stuff that I'm about to talk about. But most people, including myself, have this very limited imagination, let's say, of how communication works. I did a few live streams about this. If you go look at my playlist, you'll find my you'll find my discussion live streams. There's a playlist in my playlist, the discussion live streams. And I talk about communication in there. It's something that I happen to have professional expertise in. So this is not me just, musing as a lot of people do online. Oh, it seems to me like this might be the case. I'm talking about something I happen to have somewhat extensive expertise in. Anyway, the idea of culture and communication, most people think, or many people think, or assume, that communication is somehow like, I'm going to take this information and I'm going to send it to you and you're going to receive it. They imagine it's like transferring an object. Communication is nothing like that at all. Communication is part of one of the non-physical dimensions. Another big topic that we need to talk more about here on these live streams, the non-physical dimensions. That is to say, dimensions that are beyond just the three-dimensional space made out of physical objects, things made out of molecules that you can touch. Communication is in a non-physical dimension. So it's not like transferring an object. Communication is more like a resonance within somebody else's lexicon. Like, you're never really speaking your words in somebody else's head. That never happens. That's like a zero. Most people that have the same native language or native culture get by because they tend to have meanings associated with words that are very highly overlapping. So they, day to day, they think they're speaking the same languages. But really, you have your own uniquely nuanced meaning for everything. And the person who, grew up next door to you with the same formative experiences as you, theirs is very, very close, but it's still uniquely nuanced. You learn this when you have to operate outside of your culture for an extended period. Like if you travel to another country to live there for 10 years or something, and you don't know anybody, and you have very different expectations, and things mean, body language, things mean different things to you, and you're sort of at odds with everyone all the time, and nobody understands what's your problem because you're the one who's the fish out of water, so to speak. If you have those kinds of experiences, then you have a clearer sense of what I'm talking about. But most people don't have those kinds of experiences. Most people just live in the world that they grew up in, and they just are very comfortable, and things just work for them, and they don't question these kinds of fundamental building blocks to communication and cooperation and the ability to coexist and all of these things. It's not that these things are culture specific, but it is that there is a dimension of something that's beyond culture. It's rare that a human climbs their way up there, but it's there. There are these higher dimensions. They're there. I got off track. I lost track of what I was trying to talk about. But I do plan to continue talking about these topics. What is communication? What is, culture assigns meaning to symbols. And it assigns meaning to experiences. But those meanings exist independently of how a culture might assign them. So there are differences in cultures and languages and all of this kind of stuff. I see with us we've got Unit E! Very nice. I'm getting caught up on the chat here. About 5 minutes behind. All True is talking a little bit more about Hawaii. Hawaii. Isn't that how you actually pronounce it? It's supposed to be that glottal stop in there? Hawaii. All True says, I feel that I'm a spiritual person, and I feel that Hawaii has a sacredness to it. Island people in general have a deeper spiritual connection to the earth because of their dependency. Yeah, there is something to be said about that concept. Modern people have this detachedness from the world. Not just like, the earth. Yes, that's true also, but just the world. Modern people are just, they're stuck in their own little bubble, their own little echo chamber inside their own head. And it's easy to get by in the world if you have, if you have some things like a house, or not a house, but like a room is what I mean to say, a place to stay. You have some kind of form of income, and you can take dollars or whatever your currency is and go to the store and buy a sandwich. If you're able to do that, then it's very easy to completely detach yourself from everything. All you need to get is that money. And then you can get everything you need. You don't have to cooperate with people. You don't have to cooperate with the world around you. You don't even have to acknowledge reality. You could live in your own little fantasy world, but still get everything you need because you have, enough money to pay rent, enough money to pay for a sandwich, get a can of coconut water, So I do think there is some let's say like significant value in what Al True is saying here regarding this sense of people who have a dependency on whatever it is. They tend to develop a deeper connection. If somebody is highly dependent upon the earth and like the weather, and they're very careful that they don't upset the chemical imbalances in the soil because they need it and that kind of stuff, definitely much more much more sensitivity. Now, the very interesting thing is, everybody understands. They say in, oh boy, I don't want to misquote this, and I'm definitely gonna. I mean, I think it's in the Vedic scriptures, but I could be mistaken about that. But we are currently in an age of history where the majority of people, like the only shared thing we have is the physical universe, the material universe. And that's all people really understand. Not that it's impossible for an individual to understand more, but that like the shared world, that's what people are bred to notice. The material world, and we don't notice all this other dimensions and things. But that's why we can talk about like an island culture that is highly sensitive to how to keep the island ecosystem doing well, or another perhaps native culture somewhere where they're very in tune with their local part of their, tundra or forest or whatever. But what about other dimensions? What about, for example, a people who recognizes their dependency on, let's say, like mannerisms? Not the earth, not the chemicals in the soil or the ecosystem, but like in society, a people, a culture who recognizes their dependency on being polite, like being able to interact in a civil manner. And that people would be very well attuned to that if they see their survival as tied to that. They're like, oh, we have to be very cooperative. Let us all make sure that we have all sorts of like songs written about this and books that focus on this, and our laws of our culture focus on this, because they see their very existence as dependent upon this, sense of being courteous, let's say. Or what about if there's a culture of people who recognizes their dependency on the words they speak, like a culture of sorcerers who knows the power of language and words, and they like speak things into existence and all of this. They would be very well tuned with that sort of influence in the world, and so on. So there's more than just the physical world that people could be tuned to. I'm getting caught up on the chat. There's a lot going on here. I'm about 5 minutes behind. Unit E says, I was right about the glottal stop, that it's Hawaii. Hawaii, I see. Hawaii. Okay, I'm with it. So Unit E is nicely summarizing what I was trying to articulate. If you depend on, insert thing here, you could put a blank right there. When you live in some kind of isolated circumstances and depend on insert thing in a blank, then you learn to communicate with it. That's what I'm talking about, yes. And there's more than just the earth that you might depend on. It's interesting to ponder what exactly different cultures represent. Each culture represents or reflects a dependency, a shared thought process that everyone in that culture sees themselves as dependent on something, and the culture is centered around that thing. It's interesting to ponder what exactly it is they see themselves as dependent upon. All True says Americans have a lot to learn. Nah. Americans know everything, right? Americans have all the knowledge of everything. There's nothing to be learned from anyone else. All True gives a nice counterexample that proves that idea wrong. Unit E summarizing the spirit of Tinker Time. Unit E says Hawaii is one of the 7 power points. Really? I don't know anything about that. I've heard things like that, but I don't know anything about Hawaii's role in that framework. And then Unit E says a lot happens here. You're from Hawaii? I didn't know you're from Hawaii. Do you know Wonderfish? Not that you know him personally, but do you know him as a streamer? He's a dope streamer. We were talking about him earlier, and he's from Hawaii. All True had some Hawaii question earlier. Unit E says that he knows Wonderfish personally. No kidding, really? That's hilarious. I mean, I guess if you guys are both on YouTube and you're in this little community here, it's probably not too far-fetched to imagine that you might have run into each other. Or maybe you know each other, outside of it. Because Wonderfish plays shows. He plays live shows. Did you see one of his live shows, or do you know him from just YouTube? Unit E says that Hawaii sits on the same latitude as Mayan temples and pyramids in Egypt. Okay. Does Hawaii, does it have any kind of ancient monuments like that? When I visited there, I went to, I believe it was the Big Island that I went to. I was there for like a week. And I did a couple of things, but I don't remember any kind of like pyramids or anything like that. Block of Soul says yesterday, whoops, wrong thing. Yesterday was Wonderfish's birthday. Oh. I was busy for most of the day yesterday. Unit E says, I did indeed meet Wonderfish on YouTube, but I actually went to go see him once. That's dope. Unit E says, the big island in Hawaii, has a massive, constantly erupting volcano. Really? There was a volcano that I visited when I was there, but it was dormant. The one I went to. And it was so cold because it was so high up, the altitude was so high. Black of Soul says there's another one in Spain, Ibiza. Another one of those chakra points or power points or whatever they're called. What a dope stream we have today. Unit E says he observes also that Hawaii has a spiritual this or that element to it. I'm going to be real with you, my friends. I wish I had another can of coconut water. I actually do have more in the fridge downstairs, but I wish I had one right now, right here, so I could just grab it. That's not something that I wish very hard. There's not a lot that I would trade to have another can of coconut water in my hand right now. I would trade, like, there might be some small thing I would trade, like a push pin. I would pick one specific push pin out of the little thing of push pins over here. And I'd say, here you go, I'll trade this. That's about it, though. Not even this pen. I'd rather keep the pen. So there's not a lot I would trade to suddenly have my can of coconut water in hand. I can be patient on that and just wait till I can walk downstairs and get one. Delayed gratification. That's a biggie for Western culture, at least American culture. Delayed gratification. The idea of it is foreign to many people. Not just doing it. Black of Soul says, from my perspective, I don't really get into the spirituality stuff. I don't believe in those things. I only believe in, actual acts that occur, and I just do my best to be a good person. That's pretty functional. Regardless of if we want to get into any kind of discussion about spirituality. I'm not even saying we need to get into that right now. But regardless of that, this is a pretty functional attitude. What Black of Soul is saying. This is like, you'll get by day to day. You'll have a functional relationship with people in your community and your surroundings if you take this attitude. Unit E says, I'm with that too. But then Unit E continues and says, if we were to get into the topic of spirituality, something about vibration perhaps is related, just like music. You know, unfortunately, the topic of spirituality has been so just lost. You know, it's like a lost art. There are lost arts as well, lost crafts. Nobody knows how they made the pyramids, you know? There's some kind of lost art or technique or something. Spirituality has been lost. Not completely. It's still there, but like in the spotlight of Western culture. And unfortunately, that means that there's a lot of people who don't even know what it is. Regardless of whether they would resonate with it or they would want to pursue it, they just don't know what it is. Which is a shame. It's really unfortunate. Makes me kind of sad. But when it comes to the idea of spirituality being lost to culture, Western culture, at least American culture, but I think it's true to say Western culture in general, has largely lost spirituality. And, you know, it just sounds like hocus pocus. It sounds like, oh, I'm going to sit here in my room and just think something, and then, oh, I, you know, made magic happen at a distance. It's like, that's so not what it is. That's very, very far from it. That stuff is silly. But when we talk about spirituality, that's more like, it's a word that has lost meaning, but refers to something that's happening in real life. Sort of like, if you think about the state of human civilization in a first world country. A first world country where you're pretty safe. You know, you could go walk down the street and you don't really have to worry about anything. Just a first world country, a somewhat civilized place. There's something different about what's going on there as opposed to just like, you know, the woods, you know, some forest, some like very, very crude thing that just happened on its own without any humans there. And what I'm talking about is something more subtle than just, oh yeah, well, how did a first world civilization get there? Well, people built it. No, you're missing what I'm saying. What are people then? You know, there's something more than the physical world that you have to recognize in order to make sense of just like order. Like as I sit here, I just saw a car drive by on the road. How did that happen? Why is it not like total random chaos and like boulders crushing people and, you know, somebody got killed by a lion just eating them randomly, and that's not happening? Why not? And the idea is that order is a dimension. Order is a power, a force of nature. Order. And so the idea of humans being civilized, that's not because humans invented culture. It's not what it is. It's that order can affect humans. Humans have the ability to either, you know, act out or to be a thinking person who, you know, thinks before you speak, who thinks before you act, who has reasons behind what you do. You're not just like flailing and doing whatever your impulses say. You're choosing. As a human, you can choose. And so humans are affected by this concept of order. Organisms that don't choose, they just do whatever their impulses say. They just live purely instinctually, and that's it. But humans can participate in this thing called order, or however, or civilizedness, whatever term you want to give to it. And so that's what we're talking about when we talk about spirituality. Things have an order to them. Humans exist in a dimension where we don't fully understand order. Humans are exploring and discovering order. That's what's happening, all around the planet in every human culture. We're trying to figure out how is the universe being run? That is spirituality. It's understanding that there is an order, even if you don't know it. Which is that's so. When I have these topics, when I have these conversations with people, that is one direction the conversation can go. That's very disappointing. When someone takes an attitude that's sort of like, well, I don't understand the order of the universe, therefore there isn't one. That's like, whoa, you really gave up real fast on that. No, there is an order. It's just so different from what your brain is culturated, indoctrinated, or whatever to understand and roll with. Your mind is very much focused. Your mind is like a limited space and time. That's when it can calculate. But that doesn't mean that's how the order of the world, of the universe is. The order of the universe is literally in all places at all times. From the beginning of the universe all the way to the end, in every part of the cosmos and everything. That's, in my estimation, that is the gateway to spirituality. It's just accepting that there is an orderliness to things. And then there's a lot more to get into, like what's the nature of that order and all of this. But just to look at the universe and say, okay, it's not total, complete random chaos and complete meaninglessness and total vacuum of nothing. Like, to me, it seems pretty obvious that it's not, that the universe is not nothing. The universe is not complete random chaos with absolutely nothing behind it at all. I think it's pretty obvious that that's not the case. But you can construct a perspective where that's not obvious. So I get it. But that's all we talk about when we talk about spirituality. There is an order to things. And humans exist in this dimension where we are clumsily failing to figure out what the order of the universe is. That's like a very concise summary of human nature right there. Humans exist in this dimension where we're clumsily trying to discover and live in, not just discover the order of the universe, but like cooperate with it, harmonize with it, live by it. That's what humans are. And that's all we mean by spirituality. There is an order. Unit E says you could call that physics. I agree, you could. That's all we're talking about. It's a part of reality. It's not fantasies. We're not talking about, insane fantasies of Sky Daddy. Like that. That's not at all what we're talking about at all. We're talking about higher dimensions that are not obvious to the average person if you don't invest time in it. And you could certainly call it a kind of physics. It includes non-physical dimensions, like communication, like culture. Those are all part of it. Spirituality it's like an all-encompassingness. There is something. That's what spirituality is. All True says you could use the word metaphysics. Yeah, there are terms for these things. One thing that is disappointing that I mentioned earlier, one aspect of these conversations that's disappointing. When someone says, well, the order isn't simple and obvious, so therefore there is no order. That's disappointing. There was another thing I was going to add there, but I already forgot what I was going to say. Black Soul has a very productive part of this conversation right now in the chat, and brings with him the humility that just says, like, I'm just sharing my thoughts. That's a very, once again, Black Soul bringing the very functional attitude here. You get very far with this kind of attitude. Black Soul should teach a class on, like, how to have the right attitude about life. Unit E says, for me, when I think of spirituality, that I conceptualize it as giving yourself a purpose. Yeah, I would agree. That's compatible with the way I described it. I described it as, like, are things ordered? And if things are ordered, then you have a purpose. You're not a random accident. That's something that to me seems very clear and obvious, but I know not everybody necessarily feels that way. The highest form of that attitude, which is not meant to be egotistical, but rather is meant to be very, very humble and powerless. The highest form of that attitude is to have a sense that all of the universe and all of creation was made just for you. Just for you to sit there and go walk around the block or something. That everything that's happening was for you. It's just thousands of years of history conspired to make this, wrapper from a candy bar be on the street where you're walking. Like, it was all for you. That's the highest form of it. But it's very easy for that perspective to get distorted and become egotistical. So it's kind of spiritually dangerous to spend time thinking about that a lot, unless you have very, very, very thoroughly developed humility. Spirituality is beyond the human individual. Like, you can't really participate in spirituality if you're self-centered. Now this, All True is bringing it right here. I've actually never heard this before. I'm going to be thinking about this idea later. I've always seen, this is not something I talk about a lot, but I have always seen a very, very clear parallel with all of the spiritual stuff that I've read and studied. Which, by the way, if you don't know my background, this is like what would you say? A deep interest? Is that the term for it? It's more than just like a passing fancy of mine. It's something I've spent many years searching for and becoming knowledgeable about. I've read different systems and different books and all of this. And in my studies and pursuits, over 25 years it's been that I've had these active pursuits. I've always had more of a spiritual side, but it's been an active, conscious part of my life that I invest time in for over 25 years. And in all the things I've read in different systems and what I've practiced and experienced and explored and all of this, to me, it seems really clear the connection between spirituality and psychology, spirituality and the mind. And those, to me, that seems very, very obvious. But I've not heard this connection that All True brings up about spirituality versus social sciences. Now, I find that to be particularly interesting, particularly rich for thought, because social sciences and psychology very much have a two sides of the same coin kind of dynamic happening. So that, to me, this is a particularly interesting proposition. I like this a lot. You know what else I like a lot? I like the fact that Milky has joined us. I'm pretty happy about that. That's a good thing. Here's Milky, by the way. Hi, Milky. I see we're a little over 2 hours right now. This has been awesome. To me, this is like the ideal Tinker stream. We're just hanging out. We have this like really resonant... I'm going to bring up the bass in another layer again. Here we go. It's very just like extended tones, resonant kind of vibe going on today. Getting into some talk about spirituality and other stuff. To me, this is ideal. It's like the best possible Tinker stream. So good. Logify is referring to Nick. Is Nick here? Did I miss a chat by Nick? Oh, I did. Okay. Well, anyway, let me remedy that. Nick! There we go. Welcome back, Nick. Nick heard us having a big, profound discussion about, big, serious, huge topics that get misunderstood. And Nick was like, "Oh, I gotta be there for that." He quickly appeared out of nowhere. Friends, this has been a really good stream. I want to sit here for another hour and just talk about this kind of stuff. I see Nick is making a comic book reference. If you're familiar with the Max, they did a animation interpretation of that in a cartoon on MTV in the 90s, which was that was almost a frame-for-frame interpretation. So that was pretty cool. So we've had a good time today. This is good. We got a good beat. We had the nice, awesome discussion going on. Everything just worked out so well today. What a good stream. So thank you for being here. It's so much better when you're here. We should do our closing cheers ritual. Grab your drink if you're going to join us for this. We want you to join us. Yeah. I see there's some agreement regarding the Max cartoon. Al True says the Max was dope. Yeah, it was. Like, Al True is not being hyperbolic by putting this in all caps. Like, it calls for that level of enthusiasm. The Max is awesome. Nick says, I miss the early 90s MTV shows. Dude, for real. That's the glory days of culture. Grab a drink, my friends, if you're joining us for our culture that we build together. You look forward to these cheers moments. It feels so good knowing that you're here with all of us. Whether you are here live in the chat, whether you are here live but you're not in the chat, whether you are here with us after the live on replay, however it is that you're here with us, my friends, the cheers moment transcends space and time. On 3, we are going to all feel very unified. We are all going to say, I feel so good and connected, and it comes on my friends on a 1, a 2, and 3. Clink. Cheers, my friends. Oh man, it's good. Oh, it's good. Ooh, man, it's just like the good stuff that's good. It's exactly where you want to get goodness out of. You're just like, you're looking at something for good and you want good to be good, and then it has good that is good and it's good. Please like this video. Please subscribe and please share this video where it would be well received. I hope to see you again on the next live stream. My regulars know we get together multiple times a week for a very fun experience of some creativity and also hanging out. Sometimes we have streams like the one you're watching now, making the music improvised live with just vocals, got my loopers and the synth. Sometimes we do that. Other times we're doing the new streams where I mix the beat in my DAW on my computer, my digital audio workstation. Whatever we do, my friends, it's the best time for you. You love being here on your favorite online hangout. And my regulars know that we get together multiple times a week. In the upper right corner of the screen right now, Eastern U.S. time zone, every Sunday at 1 p.m., every Tuesday at 9 p.m. You could put those in your calendar. And my regulars know that we do more than just that every week. We also do another couple, 2 or 3 additional streams. Could be any day, any time of day. Enable notifications now so that you can join us for these unscheduled streams. And until then, my friends, please have a very good rest of your day today. Please allow the rest of your day today to bring you all manner of goodness and blessing. Today, please allow yourself to experience healing today. Miraculous healing that exceeds what you yourself believe to be possible. Please allow yourself to expand beyond your insistence today. And I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.